Welcome to Morrison Madness. Thank you for joining us again this week. Tonight we're going to talk about cruising, getting Don on a boat. What do you think about cruising, babe?
I think it's great now.
What did you think about cruising?
I think you were going to shit gold bricks before you were going to get me on a fucking boat out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, it was a fight.
I grew up on boats, on reservoirs, rivers. I mean, I was little.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up swimming. I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, you like
and
little boats.
I specifically picked stations stateside, took a job in the Marine Corps to where I knew they weren't going to stick my ass on a ship out in the middle of the ocean somewhere where I couldn't see land. That just seems dumb to me.
Yeah, you like little boats, but you did not like the idea of being on a cruise ship.
I don't like the idea of being in an airplane either.
No, that's true. And you were willing to fly, but that's because I took you to Scotland. So
and I like less the idea of jumping out of them, but I've done that too. I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life, apparently.
And you barely lived to tell the tale. So, cruising, when we first got married, I had been on cruises. I had gone on a cruise when I was in college with a show choir, and then I went on a cruise with a friend of mine and his family, and then I went on a cruise with two cruises with my parents. One, I knew you when I went on the cruise, and you actually babysit my puppy sat when I went on that cruise. But I love cruises. And most of the cruises that I've been on have been on Carnival. None of this is sponsored, by the way. We're not getting paid to talk about a specific cruise line, but it was almost a night and day difference for Don from before the cruise to after the cruise.
Yeah.
As far as opinion on it, which we thought was kind of a fun topic.
Well, and if you've watched any of these along the way, or if you know me personally, or from shows, if you're from the area, I'm a very outgoing person. So
yeah.
It's not like I was going to go on this cruise and not make friends.
True story.
The thing that decided me to do the cruise, because I actually brought it up to you, I saw...
but before this, we got married 11 years, or not 11 years. We knew each other 11 years before this, right? So I guess we knew each other almost 9 years before we actually went on a cruise. But I even tried to convince you to go on a cruise before we got married. I tried to convince you to do a cruise for our honeymoon, and I was getting nowhere. And you were like, I will never go on a cruise. And I'm like, well, then I'm going to find friends that I can go on a cruise with, because I'm still going to go cruising without you.
This ties into the last podcast of that flexibility. It took 9 years for Don to be flexible, but eventually he got there.
So anyway, the reason that you decided to bring it up to me and seem like the hero of the story that we decided to go on a cruise.
I was the hero of the story.
Because Don
somebody
decided...
that we advertised with said, hey, we're going to have this DJ cruise.
Yes.
There'll be these classes.
It was a conference.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can learn stuff. And so then it's a tax write-off.
Yes. I think that's what sold you. You were like, okay, fine. If you're going to make me sit out on a boat, at least I can make it a tax write-off. So then it doesn't feel like a waste. I think it was kind of the way that you said it. And
yeah.
I was so excited. I even remember I did like extra shopping to make sure we had all the little things that make cruises a little bit easier. Travel stuff, the whole like clothesline to hang up within the room so you can hang up your towels and stuff.
And even though it was a tax write-off, our company hadn't made that leap yet.
No,
So it was a big expense for us.
Yes. Yeah, it really was. Yes. It was more expensive than what we would really have made during the year.
It was going to eat up all of the profit that we had.
Plus some.
Yeah.
I feel like when we went.
But that being said, what we learned on this cruise.
And this was 2 years ago that we went on this cruise. Right around this time, I think, is when we went on this cruise. So, anyway, 2 years ago when we went, what we learned.
Right. Which, by the way, Happy New Year.
Yeah, we didn't say that. I think the last podcast was after the New Year, but we got a whole new set. It's a whole new year. So, yes, Happy New Year. We're a little late on that. Anyway, what we learned.
Yeah, more than made up for the cost of
yes
the flight down there,
yes.
the hotel, all of that stuff. And again, because Don is an outgoing person, Don's going to make friends wherever. So we get down to the hotel,
Yep.
Right? We go down a day early, and then that morning, the next morning, we went
down a couple days early. So it wasn't super early, but like they told everybody to come in the day before you were leaving for the cruise and make sure you're there at least one day before. And we went in 2 days early.
Right. But then one was we got in late, and then we had the next day of the whole day.
Right.
And so as part of that day, I mean, we
Right.
did a little Floridian stuff. We went to a great seafood place and had some amazing food, but we walked to this strip mall that had a grocery store.
Yep.
Because they had a sale on beer and pop.
Yep.
So we bought a case of beer and 3 12-packs of pop.
Four 12-packs.
Okay. And then we
we
messaged.
We could each take 2 12-packs of pop onto the ship,
and then
I think.
we had a group message.
Or we could each take 1 12-pack or something.
And everybody was staying at the same hotel.
Right.
So we sent out this group message. Hey, we're going to be down at the pool. We've got a case of beer. We've got some pop. Come on down, have some beer. Join us. Let's meet before we get on the cruise.
Yep.
Only a few people came down.
Yeah, not very many.
It was weird.
But I think a lot of people were still coming in. They were tired. They just wanted to chill in their room.
So you can't take beer on the cruise.
No.
So
Nope.
we're heading out at some ungodly hour of the morning. I don't
Yeah,
know,
it was like
7, 8 o'clock in the
7 or
morning.
8, I think, in the morning.
Right.
And we're getting on a tour bus
Right.
from everybody in this group that's going to this conference, getting on this bus from the hotel to take
so
us to the
all the
port.
good kids sit towards the front of the bus.
Of course they do. Where
Well,
does Don
I took
head?
my case of beer, headed straight to the back.
Straight
and,
to
and
the
as
back.
I'm walking to the back, right next to where the bathroom is, anybody want a beer? Anybody want a beer? Anybody want? One guy from Australia was finally like,
I think you got all the way to the back first and sat down, and you're like, I can't believe nobody wants a beer.
and I think I cracked one
And
open.
then
You're
you
right.
cracked one open.
And then
and
Rod
then
goes, well, I'll have one.
Which, by the way, hi, Rod and Jenny, if you're listening.
Yeah. And then Dan was like, well, I'll have one.
Yeah. And hi, Dan and Nicole.
And yeah, and then a couple other people were like, well, we are on vacation,
Right.
right? So then a couple other people had one. So yeah, by the time we got to the ship, all the beer was gone.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. I think there was like 1 can left, and somebody just chugged it right as we got off the bus. But yes, it was. We made friends very quickly, right up front. Yes,
Yep. And everybody remembered who we were.
Yes, in fact, I think somebody either switched our table to their table, or they switched their table to our table, or something along those lines because of that.
I think John did.
Could be. I can't remember who.
John and Peggy.
Could be. Which, hi, John and Peggy, if you're listening. But I'm not sure who it was. But I remember somebody saying, "Oh, we're totally switching because we want to sit with you at dinner on the
Right.
cruise ship," rather than who they were with. And not that they didn't like the other people. They didn't even know the other people. It was the whole point that you
Right.
brought beer onto the bus, so you're going to be the party table. And they want
we
to sit
were.
with you. Oh, we were. Everybody knew that we were the loudest table on that cruise ship. But so we went on, again, it was a Carnival cruise, but it's not sponsored. And it was a 5-day cruise, which is shorter. I've been on 7-day cruises.
And this was a smaller boat.
It was a smaller boat. There wasn't even balcony rooms available. So we just had a port side. So we had a larger window. It wasn't just a small window, but we did have a larger window. And so we had a window. We weren't on an interior cabin. But it wasn't as big of a cabin, and it didn't have a balcony, which I'm used to having, which makes a huge difference, I think. It makes it a little nicer, a little more spacious. And then the days at sea, I think it was 1 day at sea, 1 day in port, 1 day in sea, 1 day in port, and then 1 day at sea is what
Right.
we had, right? So we only had 2 days in port. And the 2 ports that we went to were not big ports. Like one, I think, was actually owned by Carnival or something.
I think they both were.
It could have been. So there wasn't a whole lot to do. I mean, there
was excursions and stuff.
There were some
But
excursions.
I didn't want to spend the money on the excursions.
And they weren't...
And not that they were expensive. I don't want people to think
No.
stuff was ridiculously priced. I just didn't want to. I wanted to sit and relax and hang out.
Right. But some of the excursions that I've been on, like I've been where we were tubing down the river in Brazil or something that way. That there wasn't something like that to where you're like, the only way you're going to be able to see the country is to go on this excursion. These were on little islands. You weren't really able to go anywhere. So
You said Brazil. You meant Belize.
Yep, sure did. So I've just been all over. I just didn't know it. And so then, it wasn't a matter of that there weren't excursions. There were. It just wasn't anything that we were interested in doing because, like, one of them was riding a 4-wheeler. Well, we've both ridden 4-wheelers, and we don't really need
Or
to ride
horseback riding. Done
right.
that.
And we're not we didn't really need to do that. We just
No,
kind
if
of
there
wanted to
if there would
relax.
have been if we would have went someplace like in Mexico or Central America where you could have gone and explored the pyramids or something like
Right.
that,
The
that I would
Aztec
have been all
ruins,
about
which
doing.
I've been to. Yep.
Yes, but there wasn't any of that kind of stuff, and I just,
Right.
So I was enjoying hanging out with the people
Right.
that we had met and made friends with from the cruise.
Yep.
It was a blast.
Yep.
And that's where, in hanging out with them and talking to them about their business and them asking questions about our business, that's where we came up with the ideas of doing the stuff, and we bought some stuff on the cruise to help expand our business. And
Yep. Music bingo was one of those that we bought
it took,
on the cruise.
when we came back from the cruise, it took, I don't know, 6 months.
Something like that. Yeah.
We were out going to all of the retirement homes and selling them on bingo and name that tune, and a couple of the places that we did karaoke, we were selling them on bingo and name that tune. And once the one establishment, once Shakespeare's, shout out to Shakespeare's,
Yes.
once they brought us in for name that tune, because they had us for karaoke every month,
Yep.
and she finally decided to bring us in for name that tune once a week, and it was phenomenal. Even from the first night,
Yep.
their business was better that night, and then within 3 or 4 weeks, it was,
Packed.
yeah, there was
Yeah.
no tables empty.
Yeah, one of the servers even said that they had to increase the amount of workers for that night from what they had, because they were kind of on this teetering of, we don't really need 2 people, but sometimes there's a rush for a little bit, and so then it's hard for one person, but we definitely don't need 2 people the whole night kind of thing. And then they were like, oh, now we need more than 2 people for the whole night.
Yep.
Kind of idea. And so they were really excited
And we went
that it
from that
changed.
one show a week plus our karaoke shows that we had to...
And just to clarify, Shakespeare's is an awesome restaurant, and they're busy almost every night.
Yes.
This was their slowest night of the week that they had us come in on, specifically for that reason, because
Right.
they knew it was their slowest. And so they're amazing. If you're in the Iowa City area and you need a place to eat, I highly recommend it.
Oh, yes, and their Taco Tuesday,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. We love shakes.
Yep. And, from there, other people, managers or employees from other bars, restaurants would come to Shakes. Because, again, Shakes is a local.
Yep.
It's not a corporate thing. So people would come there, and then they would go back to their places and be like, we should bring these guys in.
Yeah.
You should see this. Everybody has so much fun. The topics are hilarious. These guys interact with the crowd great, and the place is packed.
Right.
And every place that we went, it
got
brought
big.
in business.
Yeah,
Herb and
it
Lou's
did.
in West Branch,
Yeah.
Blackstone, North Dodge Hy-Vee.
Right.
And then we had other places bring us in for just like a one-off or a special event kind of
Right.
thing. We had some Christmas party people.
Yep.
Hey, we want you to name that tune at our Christmas party.
Yep.
Or music bingo.
Yep.
And it was a really good thing for us, and all because of
All the crews.
Don being flexible and going on a cruise,
It's that whole flexibility.
and Susie being flexible,
Yes.
and bringing us into Shakespeare's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
our name was out there. We were doing weddings, we were doing corporate events, we were doing karaoke,
Yeah.
but that really turned the corner for us,
Right.
and it all started because we went on the cruise.
Yep. So for the cruise, what were some of your cruise aspects that you really liked? So not just the conference and the people, but things about a cruise. Think about the reasons that you didn't want to go. Like, one of the big reasons you said is you don't like the idea that you can't see shore.
Yeah.
Did that bother you when you were actually on the ship?
There was one day, remember the day I didn't feel good?
Yes.
And I went back to the cabin and I skipped that one class.
Yes.
And I couldn't get comfortable in the bed. I don't know if I was having a flare up or what was going on, or if I was just overtired. But I just sat there on the bed, staring out the window, and at first it bothered me a little bit. And then I had to really think and concentrate to feel the motion of the ship,
Right.
And
Right.
then after that, no, it didn't bother me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the big things that most people say is, oh, I get seasick. Well, I do too. I get
I don't.
terrible motion sickness. I cannot hardly ride in the back seat of a car. I can never read or do anything in a car because I will get motion sickness, and it gives me a terrible headache, and I feel nauseous, and I hate it. And I don't get that on the cruises. I can tell you that there have been a couple hours in the 5 cruises now that I've been on. I can't even remember how many I've been on. That a couple hours total that you almost feel drunk because the sea is a little rough. And you'll notice as you start walking down a hallway that you end up hitting both walls down the hallway.
I remember that happening a couple times, but that doesn't bother me.
No, and it didn't.
I mean, I've ridden, my grandpa raced horses. I grew up breaking horses, and I ride roller coasters and jump out of frickin' airplanes. I don't have motion sickness.
Right.
So,
but even with that, I mean, I'm assuming that yes, it could have made me a little nauseous. I don't remember feeling nauseous. I don't remember feeling motion sickness. I know some people do get that. If anything, I felt almost like you were drunk kind of idea instead. But it wasn't bad, and it didn't make you feel crappy. And most times, now ours was a little different because we had 3 days at sea, but usually only the day at sea is when you're actually kind of moving while you're awake. Most of the time when you're on a cruise, like the 7-day cruises that I've been on, you'd have 2 days at sea and 5 days in ports. And so every port that you would go to, you would move from port to port overnight. So you're actually sleeping while the ship is moving. So then you really don't notice it at all.
well, the next time that we go on a cruise, I'm going to remind you of your flexibility, and we're getting the drink package. Yeah. Because that's my one regret, is that we didn't have the drink package.
Oh, yes.
Because for what the drink, I spent that much buying drinks.
But yes, you spent enough for you. The problem was I don't normally drink.
I know, but I can drink yours. We will get our money's worth.
Yes, and so because the way the cruise ships work is that if one person within a cabin gets a drink package, every adult in that cabin has to have a drink package. And so we weren't sure that it would be worth it because then I would have to have a drink package, and more than likely I would not drink that much. And so we did not go with the drink package, but next time I will be flexible.
Rod and Jenny went with the drink package.
We learn from them.
Absolutely. Rod, you're my hero. So you asked about what things were, that I really liked. Being able to go get food whenever I wanted. Yeah. That was nice.
And the food was good. I mean, it's not... There's some that are just pizza or whatever, but they have a good mixture. Yeah. And there's a wide variety.
Yes, there was a good variety. The meals at night were good, and they were fun. It was fun sitting at the table with everybody, and the crew was very fun and entertaining. Yeah. It was a little frustrating to me that it was at had to be at a specific time. Right. It was fun that they had karaoke. I was disappointed that the karaoke only lasted for 2 hours. When you've got that many people on a boat, 1,000 people, and you're only going to have something for 2 hours a night.
And I think the big thing is again, we're on a smaller boat, so we had smaller areas. And I don't think they expected karaoke to be as big of a draw.
Right. We're going to have a DJ conference on our boat, but we're not going to, think that karaoke would be.
But, most of the DJs that were at that conference didn't do karaoke. A lot of them didn't.
A lot of them did.
Well, yeah.
Everybody that was singing were DJs.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't think the cruise realized that karaoke would be as big as it was. Yes. For that reason. Because on the other ships that I've been on, I've done the karaoke.
And Carnival, take a hint, you need to expand your karaoke library. That was pretty piss poor.
That's true. The karaoke library is tiny, and they don't have internet out on the ship, so they can't just download a new song.
Well, they do, but it's not the best.
Yeah, it's not great. And so they're not going to be able to update their library because of a song you want. There's a set library, and that's all you're going to get. So
anyway, the pluses outweigh the minuses.
There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So all of the things that I was worried about that I thought might be negatives, they really weren't.
Right. Yeah. I think some of my positives, I really liked on this specific cruise that we went on, that the days that we were in port were relaxing, hang out at a pool day rather than a fancy excursion. I love the excursions. I love being able to explore. I grew up, if we ever went on vacation, which was very rare in my family, that it was an educational vacation. And so that's kind of my thing is if I'm going to travel, if I'm going to go somewhere, I want to learn something about that place or experience.
Which is what our trip to Scotland was.
Yes, or experience something new. Yes, and we had a blast in Scotland when we did that. Again, we should have a podcast on that. But anyway, so I really like on the larger ships and the 7-day cruises that I've been on, the days at sea were my relaxing, sit by a pool. And usually that's the first day out. And I'm like one day relaxing, sitting by a pool. And then I'm done with that. I want something to do because I'm not one to usually just sit and not do anything anyway. And so then you'd have 5 days of kind of going and doing a whole bunch of stuff. And then the last day before you come home was another day sitting at a pool. So then you kind of got to rest and relax before you came home. And this cruise wasn't that way because we had the 2 days at port, but then the 3 days that were on the ship that normally would be that sit by the pool and relax kind of day, we were in conferences.
Only
and
2 of those
learning stuff.
days.
Oh, 2 of those days were
Right. The
conferences?
last day on the trip back, we weren't.
Or half the day we were, or something that way. It wasn't the whole day.
No, it was only 2 days.
It was only 2 days? Okay.
Conferences,
I can't remember.
and that was nice. I mean, you had like 4 hours.
Oh,
a
maybe
lot of times you go to a conference and it's 8 hours, and you're trying to pack stuff in, or classes overlap,
Right.
And you don't get to go to all the ones. This
Yeah.
one was not that way. They were separated out.
Yep.
It was good. You got to go to every one that you wanted to go to.
Right. I remember why I was thinking the last day was a conference day was because that was the day that they had the party for all of the different groups that were on the ship, that it was all you could drink
For 2 hours.
for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And
that's when you realized, wow, Don could have drank the drink package.
yes, that is when I realized. So did everybody else. Everybody else was like, "You didn't get the drink package? Why did you not get the drink? You could have had the drink package just today and been fine." Yes, but but so that's because we were hanging out with everybody. So then I was thinking we were with the bigger group, not just the couples that we met and kind of hung out with quite a bit throughout the cruise. But that day we spent a lot of time.
And you
with
met
everybody.
that wonderful lady.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why she was there. Wasn't she on there for a wedding or something?
No, for a birthday. I think it was.
I thought it was for a wedding. It might have been a birthday.
I think it was a birthday.
And she mailed you a dress.
She did.
Because you were like, I love that dress.
The dress
Where did you
she
get
was
it?
wearing, it was a beautiful dress. And she's like, it's a tiny shop that has one-of-a-kind things in my hometown. And I was like, oh, it's beautiful. It is amazing on you.
She took our card and mailed you one.
Yeah. And the next thing I knew, it showed up in the
And
mail.
I don't remember your name, but that is, talk about paying it forward and showing kindness to a complete stranger.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful dress. I love it.
And
but
still wear it.
I do. I do still wear it. Absolutely. So, in any case, moral of the story is go on a cruise.
Yeah, they're a good time. It's a good vacation. It really is.
Yeah, no matter what kind of vacations you like, there are things that you can do at a cruise, and it's great, especially if you have a group of people that you're going to go with to go together. You don't all have to be in the cabins together or anything that way. It's kind of like going to a hotel and staying in the same hotel. But I would recommend, if you know the group that you're going with, you may want to think about getting walkie-talkies or getting the package where you can use your cell phone on the ship so you can actually get in contact with each other. Because that's, again, communication is key. And you're not in your room, even though the rooms have little phones, you're not in your room to really call each other very often. And so it's better to have some way to communicate while you're on the ship. And if you don't want to pay or have your cell phone with you all the time, get little walkie-talkies that you can walkie-talkie each other with.
Yeah.
Which is what I did on earlier cruises before they had cell phones that you could even do that with. So cruising, again, as soon as things lift and we actually get back to normal, we are all about going on another cruise.
Well, when Carnival announced that they were going to do that thing where you could take a free cruise to test out their coronavirus stuff, I'm like, how do we get on? How to sign us up? We have the antibodies.
I know.
Sign us up. We'll test out your protocols.
Yeah, we're all about it.
Haven't heard from Carnival.
We should, Carnival, if you're listening, give us a call.
And we know you are.
We need to go on a cruise. We need a vacay.
We need to get the hell out of here. So I feel like that's probably a good place for us to stop.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hope you had a good time. Hope you'll take a cruise. If you do, definitely, or if you've been on cruises or you plan on taking a cruise now after watching this, definitely let us know because we'll go with you. And we want to hear how it was if you enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Take care.